Is this thing working? Is it working now? I think it's working. I think we're live. What's happening, everybody? Everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. Well, happy Thanksgiving. Just recently coming down off of the hangover of Thanksgiving. So wishing every one of you guys a fantastic after Thanksgiving. Just recently posted up a video, kind of a fun one, really. So make sure you check it out. Basically, is what is a muscle car? What does the term mean to you? What exactly is a muscle car? And is that term malleable? Is it hard set in stone for you? There's a lot of things that, when you're talking about terms and language and how things evolve over time, how you describe them, it's interesting what a descriptive, it's interesting how that descriptive will change over time. And so I guess when I was kind of tinkering around with the concept of that video, the weird thing about it is that it was really more of a thought experiment. Like at what point do we start calling cars muscle cars? How do we look at the cars that we're looking at and define them as such? And it's just kind of a funny bit of a thought experiment. The only reason why I say all of this is because there's so much talk about, well, is the latest crop of EVs, would you consider that a muscle car? Or is it a new class of muscle, e-muscle, if you will? Does muscle car mean that, and this is something I didn't touch on in the video, just because at some point these videos, the standalone videos, can end up going on forever. It's like a live show, right? You guys know me. If you're watching this and it's not your first time, then you know that I can ramble on about something indefinitely, it seems like. So I didn't want to take it too far, but I'll put it to you like this. If we're talking about like something that's an American muscle car, how does that fit when we've got all of these different time frames that we can go back and take a look at? So anyway, it was just kind of a weird thought experiment. And with the e-muscle thing coming on board, does muscle car, and this, I'm sorry, the part I was getting to is muscle car. Does this start to get the same, I guess the same vibe as built, not bought? Remember, that kind of goes in line with this too. It's a certain mindset, but you could also consider it to be a certain aspect of a lifestyle. Built, not bought, muscle, internal combustion, all of that kind of stuff. Does any of that hold any truth with you guys? And again, getting into that aspect of the topic, the reason why I didn't add that into the video is because, number one, it's a separate topic altogether. Even though it's a subset, it really does deserve its own discussion, the built, not bought part of it. And the other part of it is and this ties into that, does it have to be American? And I touched on that a little bit in the video. And the built, not bought part of that, the funny thing is that, and this is where the video would have just completely just grown a different color of hair and changed into something different, is because the built, not bought argument is very America. But the problem is that there's so many Chinese parts that are in other words, like the foundry is in China, but the name is American, right? So you may have Speed Pro, which is foundered in other words, it's made in China, but it's owned by an American company, or at least marketed by an American company. It's a subsidiary. So is it still an American part, even though it is an aftermarket? You see this whole thing can get kind of nutty. And I've done a video on this once before, but it just didn't, I don't know. I'm going to retouch on that. So that one's going to get its own standalone video. And the built, not bought part of it is kind of funny because the chances when somebody says built, not bought, they really they didn't build it. Anyway, I'll get into that part of the thing, that part of that topic when I get into that video. But let me check in with you guys real quick. Ryan is first in saying, "What's up, Professor?" What's up, Ryan? Chuck is in saying, "Good evening." Good evening, Chuck. Michael's in saying, "Hello, Professor B." What's up, Mike? BB78 saying, "Off topic, but what is the best tire for traction on a 20 that has above 100 tread wear rating?" 888 would be number one on that list. It's got a 200 tread wear rating, and it's probably about as good as it gets. It's a spec tire. I think that would be about it. That's the only one I would really, only one I really recommend, only because I know it well enough. Is the NT05? I think has a one. No, I don't think it has a 200. I tell you what, a tire that would be close to that would be the Nitto Tri-5R. I hate to beat that horse to death, but they do fit a little bit big. So if you're going with a 10.5-inch wide rim, it's going to fit it like a small 315, if you will. But I would have to look at the tread wear rating. I don't even know what it is on those tires. I think it's a 100, but I'm not sure. But it drives and handles like a good street tire. And again, for all the things that I've complained about with that tire, the one thing that it does really well, and this is one thing that people that have been critical of my criticism of the tire seem to overlook, is I've got nothing but good things to say about the tire itself. Let's see. Hemi Head saying, "Greetings, B. Glad to join for a while." Thank you, Hemi Head, for dropping by. Rowboat's in saying, "Good evening." What's up, bro? BB78, "Canada and Mexico are in North America." Indeed, they are. In fact, North America and South America are still American continents. And if it's made in the Americas, or if it's American made, it could be made in Mexico or Canada or the United States. Or Brazil, unless you're determining north or south. But the United States is a country. America is a continent. David saying, "Thumbs up." Sean saying, "What up, B? Hope all is well." Sean, everything is going pretty well so far. Hemi Head saying, "Getting ready to clean up my 392 intake. How do you epoxy before or after you do the cleanups? If after, just look for soft, thin spots. Yes and no. Also, what epoxy did you find works best? JD Weld will work." But yes, JD Weld will work. In fact, hang on a second. Let me see if I've got any of it over here. Hold, please. Let's see if I have any of it. Oh, if you're going in and you're porting and you're going to use one of these sanding wheels, be extremely careful with that. This is a really quick way to knock it out. And I'll give you the part number on that if you want. You can go back and pause this thing, these flap wheels. On very low speed, only use this for rough cuts, and do not spend more than about 12 or 15 seconds running this thing inside that intake manifold. Ask me how I know. Let's see. I do like to backfill them, and I don't have any of it. It's the steel. Crap. I don't have any. Any of the epoxies will work just fine. I look for something that is more like a high temp or something like that. But here's the thing: when you flip the thing over, because if you burn an intake, you're going to burn it on the short side radius from your point of view. When you're coming into and it wraps down and around, that's the radius you're going to cook if you burn one. Make sure that before, and I would caution you, do not backfill it with epoxy before you port it. But the idea is just to give everything a bit more of a transition. Do not and don't put pressure. And I'm sorry, I don't have a manifold to show you this. But as you're coming into, and I'm trying to show this from your point of view, as you're coming, like if my hand is that surface, do not put pressure down on that area. Actually, if anything, you just want to follow the follow the natural curve of that intake around and down, and you'll see the little pinch mark right in there. There's like a little divot. It like looks like somebody hit it with a 9-iron from the factory. Don't get real aggressive about the width of your thumb around that area. So, damn, I would show you one. Actually, I would like to get one of them back that I did so I could cut it in half and actually show you. One of the issues you're going to run into on the back side of that is that the castings can vary in thickness. So check it visually and look to see if it is a smaller, sometimes it works out in your favor. The smaller diameter on the inside of that intake, some of those just have thicker castings and you can actually go in and open them up pretty good. The ones that seem to be a little bit bigger and the ones that just seem a little bit more open on the inside is sometimes a telltale sign it's got a thinner casting. But either way you go, just opening up that area and creating a little bit more of a linear turn is going to help. But yeah, don't sit there and hit it. Don't try to grind down on it or anything else. What I like to do is smooth everything out and then flip the thing over. And when you flip it over, when you backfill it, you'll know because you're working on the intake how to backfill the thing. But make sure you sand it. Get a small piece of sandpaper and just go in there and rough up that polymer, and then wipe it down with, like alcohol or really anything. Just wipe it down, let it all dry out. That way you're getting the surface ready to accept and get a purchase on that epoxy. And I'll typically tape everything off. I'll tape the ribs off and only epoxy up about, I would say when I epoxy it, I'll only epoxy it by about that much. That's really all you need. That's actually thicker than the casting is typically. So about maybe 3 millimeters deep. And then use your little stick, and obviously you're measuring it and you're just kind of going for that depth. That's what you're looking for when you are backfilling. So again, any of the higher temp stuff will work. You'll see some that have like some kind of metal or something like that. That's usually what I'll go with. Most of them are going to be okay anyway. So for use in that. Chuck's saying if it's not big, loud, heavy, big engine. Oh, talking about the muscle car in American, it's not truly muscle car. There are a few sports cars, exotics, tuner variants out there, like the C8, GTR, McLaren, etc., which are not U.S. muscle. Yeah, a lot of guys are saying the C8 just flat out isn't, and that's obviously a way to look at it. It's a sports car, not a muscle car. Sam's saying it's interesting that Mexico and Brazil got some unique models that we didn't. Actually, Brazil got some badass looking cars, and so did Mexico. I can't remember they've got some stuff. There's one of the cars that looks kind of like a Nova that I would love to get my hands on. But Mr. Driver's Insight, hey B, since Dodge is selling out with this e-muscle crap, why are they still pushing Hellcat Red Eye commercials, Tire Smoke, Brotherhood stuff, the stuff we love? Well, here's the thing. You cannot mess with something that's already working, right? You're not going to start to devalue the marketing that you've already invested so much into. So my question is, where are all the e-muscle commercials? Why is it that we're just not seeing anything? Why is it that we're not seeing that narrative being driven? I'm more concerned with, are they really thinking that this e-muscle thing is going to play? There's a couple of more years of some political direction that we're in right now. After that, who knows? And keep in mind, guys, Toyota, talking to a buddy of mine today, just schooled me on something. Toyota's even said, we are not going to do EVs, period. That kicks them out of the I almost said Chinese market. If it kicks them out of the California market, so be it. But they don't see the technology playing out the way that the fantasy would have you believe that it's going to play out. And the reality is that Chevrolet is struggling right now. Hemi Head, thank you very much. 392. Tips are much appreciated. Thank you, buddy. The issue that you run into is for a company like Dodge, for me, is okay, where are all the commercials for the Hornet? Where are all the commercials for the e-cars? I am tired of seeing the rock and roll music, tire smoke, and supercharger whine if it's not ever going to be available anymore. What I'm going to say is that, or I want to postulate, is that Dodge is hedging their bets. There could be a new version. There could be a new platform. There could be a lot of things coming that we're just not being told about because they're keeping it hush for reasons. Okay. So I don't know. I don't have a clue. But I'm more concerned with, like, I understand the question about the tire smoke and all of that. And I'm with you. I see them too. And I'm like, why am I seeing this? If the Banshee is supposed to be the neatest, sweetest nut, why am I not seeing that being advertised? If the Hornet is supposed to be something cool, why isn't that out in the media world? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense to me at all, considering the corporate push that is behind those cars too. So why don't we have the Banshee on a drag strip? Put the thing out there. Let's see it put in work, especially when you keep hearing this 2024 release date. Well, let's give us some action. Give us something else to talk about. You know, I've been pretty critical of Dodge over the last, 4 years. And I guess the place that I'm in with Dodge right now is lead the way. My whole question here is, why is Dodge not leading this way? When you have Chevrolet that is just seemingly every time they talk, an EV variant falls out of their mouth. They're putting all their eggs in an EV basket for Cadillac and Buick, which is absolutely not age appropriate in terms of marketing. At least the demographics who's buying Caddies and Bs, they're not looking at EVs in that respect. You've got Ford that's dabbling in it, but they're also throwing out internal combustion engine where people want them. So Dodge is just real slow to this EV thing, very slow to the hybrid technology adoption. I don't know. It's really weird. Damien saying, made it be 4 chats later, man. Thanks for coming by. Robo's saying, and this is a good question, in all honesty, with everything out there now, is the Hellcat still able to be called fast? They're fast, but relatively speaking, are they? Well, it depends on what you're comparing it to. I mean, okay, so best is always the best until better shows up to the party, right? It doesn't matter how best you are. If something is better, something's better. And fast is always fast until faster shows up to the party, or fastest at least. Again, it depends on what you're comparing it to. You know, if you're comparing it to every other car on the street, it's insanely fast. If you are comparing it to something that is, hang on just a second. If you're comparing it to something like a Plaid, not at all. In fact, if you're comparing it to something like a Plaid, everything is slow. So kind of an interesting thing when you look at it from that perspective. And the sad thing about it is, no matter how fast you make a Hellcat, drivability will suffer dramatically. Hang on just a second, guys. Drivability is going to suffer dramatically when you put it in the perspective of what other cars drive like to run those 9-second quarter miles. So kind of interesting. Hang on just a second, guys. All right, mods, get in there and do your thing. Let's see. Hang on just a second, guys. All right. So anyway, getting back to it, let me get back to the comments here. Bear with me. And again, thank you, Hemi Head. I appreciate it. But I guess the direct answer to that is, okay, fast. Yeah, it's stupid fast. And that's the crazy thing. The Hellcat, let me put it to you like this. This is how fast a Hellcat is. A Hellcat Challenger, bone stock, get it through break-in period. The Hellcat Challenger will run, if you give it enough room, 198 miles an hour. They've been clocked at 198. The Charger will do over 200 miles an hour. So what's weird is that now we're talking about cars that will, on a drag pack, on a tire sticky enough to allow the car to hook, and in conditions that are okay, like 1,000-foot DA, for example. We're talking about cars that are 10-second cars, like deep into the 10s, 1070 cars, that will do over 200 miles an hour if unrestricted, will at least take you from, say, 70 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour to 150 miles an hour in about the amount of time that it takes you to think about going that fast. I mean, it's just obnoxious how fast these things are. And they're not considered fast from an aftermarket point of view. I get that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about just factory stock cars. These cars will happily accelerate to 140, 150 miles per hour, and it seems effortless. It just wafts itself to these speeds. These speeds, mind you, that it will lull you into a sense of safety. They're so fast that you don't notice how fast they are. And so for everything that is objectively faster, you just go, man, I just cannot believe you can just be somebody walking around off the street, go somewhere and buy something that has the power to weight ratio to run 10s from the factory. It's just so bizarre. So yes, it will always be considered fast, but as these EVs come online and as the EVs become more and more sophisticated, regardless of all the weird stuff that comes with EVs in general, one of the strange things about an EV is, especially as they become more plaid-ish, that's really where I'm going with this. This would also include the Taycan, the e-tron, not so much, well, the Rivian truck. When you start to get into these vehicles that are, for their type, obnoxiously fast, like the Rivian truck is an 11-second truck. Are you kidding me? The Lightning is a 12-second truck. Well, actually, it's a low 12-second truck, and we'll give a TRX all it can handle and then some. But as these cars are more plaid-ish or more Taycan-ish, it's the rate of acceleration is just spooky at that point. So anyway, Chuck saying any car that'll do 180 to 200 miles an hour will always be fast. True that. And Damien saying, I think we aren't seeing anything because they don't have anything. Could be onto something there. Big guy is in. Sam's saying if the big manufacturers start pulling out of Cali, I think the EPA will change. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's a California thing. I have no idea what they would do, especially if large manufacturers just refuse to sell in the state. Chuck saying Ford's the smartest company in terms of marketing these days for many reasons. Can we say dark horse? For sure. You can say GT Mustang too. That's another thing that, another car that is just absolutely just insane. Going to be the S650. So crazy how fast that Mustang is going to be in a world where 500 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot too. This is something else. You're talking about, like, is the Hellcat still considered fast? Yes, actually the Hellcat is, and for a long, long time will always be, and may just be moving forward, the yardstick that everybody measures their car against. And what's interesting is it's the Hellcat, not the Red Eye, not the Super Stock, not the Demon, but the Hellcat variants, because it's the Hellcat variant that introduced us with this little girl right back over here. That early release 2015 introduced us to a car that would run 1060, 1070 on a drag pack bone stock. Crazy, but that's where we're at with these things. Let's see. Bear with me just a second. We can get through this. Here we go. Sam and the crate V8s. Yeah. That's the other. Well, so Tim Kaniskis, this is Sam talking about the crate, hell crate type motors that are out there. Dodge is committed to being an aftermarket support group, if you will, for all of what is in essence their top tier hot rods, which are the Hellcat variants. And they're all Hellcat variants, whether it's the Hellcat, the Red Eye, the TRX, the Trackhawk, any of those, the Durango, any of these supercharged variants. That's what Dodge is primarily gearing their direct connection towards, along with the EVs. But I always found it kind of curious, especially because of the potential repower option, that they never did anything with the NA cars. It just blew my mind, because the NA guys, well, the NA guys are what really flew the flag the highest. So with the NA guys flying the flag the highest, there's so many more of them than Hellcats. You would think that that would be a shoe-in terms of just a placement for Dodge to support, but it just doesn't really work out like that. And of course, there's some legalese I'm sure they're having to deal with. Let's see. X is in say, you liking the scat talking to Chuck? Oh, you know Chuck's loving that car. Sam saying, what I think is there's more to the last call cars. Nobody's seeing any power bumps, and that's the sad thing about it. No Average RT saying, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Him, he had saying, was talking cars at work, and the Plaid came up. I commented they are probably the fastest car that mortals can buy, and it became a heated discussion, but I've seen them run 9294s easily. Oh, I'll take it a step further. So there's a guy that will bring, there's the X-Type Plaid, which is the SUV, and the regular Plaid, the S. There's a guy that will bring one out to Houston Raceway Park on occasion, like once every couple of months. Like, I'll drag one of those things out and just go out and have fun with it. Let me tell you how fast a Plaid is. Well, first of all, if y'all saw the video, I raced him in the X-Type. And, I mean, was handing him his ass up until about half track. And then, it remembered that it was a Plaid, and then just left my life completely. that is a car. I think that night I was running 1050s. That thing ran a 10.0. That is crazy. That okay, and to watch how that car leaves me just like in the dust. It was so crazy. And it does it effortlessly. But that's not with cheetah mode or anything like that. But that's impressive, right? The SUV. Let's talk about the S-Type Plaid now. That what he doesn't even put it into cheetah mode. I was talking to the dude, and he's like, look, here's the deal. Yeah, if it's cheetah mode, it heats the batteries up, which increases discharge rates. It's a chemical anyway. You put it in cheetah mode, it does its thing, and you can launch, and it'll go in 9.2. Okay, great. But if you just pull up to the line, if you just show up, pull up, stage the thing, foot on, foot to the floor, whatever that launch package is. You don't try to cheetah mode. It's a 950 car. Like it'll go low 950s in that, without going through the whole cheetah thing. And it'll run 950s practically indefinitely all night. The guy just gets out there and woo, goes a 950 and goes and eats a hot dog. Woo, goes a 950, has some chili pie or whatever. Nice enough guy, and the car's fast as snot, but it goes numbers that are in lockstep with what my car would run with lower pulley, upper pulley, E85, twin pump, stock cam. But that's what it would take to get my car into that range, which is screaming fast. Like that is an extremely fast car by any stretch. And that car is out there doing it and running 150 miles an hour, 147 if he doesn't put it in to that cheetah stance, whatever, 147, 148 in that range, if memory serves me correctly. So yeah, that's how fast they are. Is what it is, man. No Average RT saying happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, RT. Damien saying, you meant belated Thanksgiving. Well, we should all be giving thanks every day, shouldn't we? Vortex saying Ford remarketed the Camaro better than Chevy, but not neither. The problem is that, again, and you guys have heard me say this over and over and over again, you cannot out Mustang the Mustang. You can't muscle up a car, and it's not the best of both worlds. You don't get the muscle of a Charger and the lightweight of a Mustang. It's the best of both worlds. It's like peanut butter and Oreos. Look, fact is, it wasn't, and the reason why it wasn't is the thing just didn't make enough horsepower. Weirdly enough, I never lost a drag race to a Camaro, which absolutely broke my heart. I want you guys to know this. When Shalandra and I were out just absolutely housing fools, stock cam on a drag pack, the car in really good air would run an 11-teen or mid to low 1120s. But just the thing on a drag pack on any given night, on like a hot night, would run like an 1160. And anyway, it really upset. It got on my nerves that if you put a Camaro stock but on a drag pack, tuned, at that time my car would beat it. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. How am I not losing to the Camaro? Because there was a time, even though I panned it a long time ago, there was a time when, I'm not even going to talk about the Z28, but for the C6, I came excruciatingly close to buying one. And I wanted to buy one for all the right reasons. I mean, I was going to strip it, drag pack it, fun LT based hot rod would have been a lot of fun, and it would have helped the channel at the time, and it would have been really good for the shop. It would have been great for Pites. We would have had a shop LT powered car that we could have put one of my cams in, long tubes, the whole bit, and it would have just been a really cool setup. Basically, it built the car is going to be gray. And almost pulled the trigger, super, super close to pulling the trigger. But I didn't want to give up my Challenger to get it. Well, what bothered the hell out of me is that the Camaro wasn't quicker than my car. It might have mile an houred it, but it was catching me on the big end, but barely. And the Mustangs never really fared well. They never stood a chance. I mean, but that's not what they do best. They were always reeling me in to the tune of probably 3 to 5 miles per hour on the big end. But again, I was so far out on them. But it was the Camaro that always, how do I put this? I don't want to try to be over dramatic about it. It was one of those things. As a car guy, you guys understand where I'm coming with this. Like, I expected more. I wanted more out of that thing. And it just didn't show up. Maybe I didn't run across the right car, the right guy, the right race. I don't know. But you look at the time slips and I was quicker. And I was like, damn, there's no reason for me to be quicker. But I was. And again, it's a testament to how good the 392 is stock. And how much that LT can use a cam, because holy shit, do they wake up. But so do the 392. So tit for tat. Sam saying, I think the Hurricane i6 is a leftover from SRT. It was probably going to be the next SRT6. I don't know. You got the Hurricane 4-cylinder in the Jeep. Okay, so remember the i6, they've been talking about this for a long time though, and Hurricane is typically a Kaiser name. That's where it comes from. But they were talking about the inline 6 for the trucks like a long ass time ago. This is actually back in 2018. Not 17, for sure back in 2018, you were hearing the development of an inline 6 for the trucks, although we had absolutely no clue what the deal was. I was hoping for something a little bit different out of the Hurricane. I was actually hoping for something along the lines of a 4-liter, and mainly because that would have meant that it would not have needed 22 or 26 in the HO variants in terms of pounds of boost to make good solid torque numbers. And I had gone on record as saying that as soon as that's available in a truck, I'm on it, because I mean, it's a freaking turbo. How do you not, you just jump on it. So, let's see. Oh, I just blew right past something here. Hang on a second. But yeah, I mean, it would have been great and everything. I mean, it would have been an awesome, to me. Okay. Just ride with me in this. Okay. What I was hoping, and this is what I was talking about in one of the last live shows. What I was hoping was that we would get a return of the Starion. All right. Just roll with me here, guys. I was hoping we get a return of the Conquest, and it would have been more or less this doorstop with a fin, just like the original Conquest or Starion, which I am desperately in love with, by the way. But Starion with, just a small Starion inspired hot rod with the Hurricane inline 6. Kidding me? That is like the 10-year-old me's like ultimate, like you got to do that, right? Now, I get it. The Starion was a 4-cylinder, but it was a big 4-cylinder. It was a 2.6 liter 4-cylinder. Throw the 3-liter in that thing, 400, 500, whatever, curb weight of 3,600 pounds. Now you're talking a car that will run with the Mustang, but give a completely cool, very 80s-esque vibe, livery and 80s font. Dude, black and silver. Are you kidding me? Raider Nation oh my God, it would just be sick to death. And yes, that's exactly what I would buy. And I mean, I would be like, run, don't walk to my Dodge dealership. Just take all my monies. I got to have one of these things. And I would jump on that thing so fast. But anyway, sorry, got lost there for a minute. Let's see. Damien's saying, drive an i4 and then drive a V8. Your mind will think that 350 horsepower V8 is the fastest thing in the world. So yeah, what Chuck said, more like 160 to 200 plus is ridiculous on the street. And that's really what it's all about. I mean, these cars are so fast. I mean, look, let me give you another bit of a perspective. Stormy, my 2022 Ram 1500 321 gear truck, the other night ran a 1366. It's running consistent 1370s in, albeit cool air, but not like crazy air. And will buzz up to 105, 110. And it's a truck. I mean, it's just a pedestrian level truck too. So that's how fast stuff is. And that truck isn't considered to be a fast ass truck either. I mean, it is. I mean, it's about as fast as a 6.2 or an EcoBoost Ford, but the idea that, you know, you're still talking about sub 14-second trucks now is crazy. That's like sports car territory not that long ago. Chuck's saying they actually make a Raptor Bronco custom, but it's 130 large. Yeah, not sure if it's a one-off. Saw it at Mecum. Yeah, I saw that too. That's crazy. Big Guy is in. What's up, Big Guy? Damien saying Raptor R seems legit. Go to Full Throttle House. They have a drag race for the Raptor versus TRX. Yeah, the Raptor's lighter. Makes about the same power, but it is significantly lighter than the TRX. The only thing that, I don't know, bothers me, worries me, concerns me about the Raptor R is the transmission. But aside from that, yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome truck. Sam saying he's like a hypo diesel if they would make one. X is asking, why isn't Dodge updated the interior design? Should they, or is it better the way it is? Well, you got the Classic and you got the DT. The DT, I mean, be on the lookout, guys, too, because I am going to be doing a basically it's going to be like a 6,000 mile. It'll probably end up being 8,000 mile, not a wrap up. It's more like a suggestion video, kind of like I did with the original Buffy. What I'm going to be doing is what I recommend this truck. You know, what are the differences? What am I seeing with this truck? What would I have liked to have seen Ram do differently? I'm going to do two separate videos. One of them is what I would like to see Ram do differently with that truck. And the other one will be what I recommend this truck and kind of go through some of what I've done to the truck leading up to this. But that's going to, the recommendation, I guess I really need to keep the truck and drive it for a little bit longer before I get into that. But I love the DT interior. In fact, the DT interior is freaking nice. And I've got a DS and a DT right now. And I prefer the DT over the DS in terms of interior. Hemi said, and plaids are doing it on street tires, and they will run those numbers on the street. Damien saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the Classics are really good about that. J392 said, let's go. 20 minutes left to work. Hell yeah. Damien saying interior is fine. It's a muscle car, not a Mercedes. Well, yeah, for the cars. Actually, if we're talking about the interior, the LX platform cars, that's really good. J3 saying EVs will fail. A lot of people will agree with you. In fact, there's a lot of experts. If you really start digging into them, they kind of crawfish away from the topic of EV because they don't want to be caught saying just how destructive EVs may potentially be. Put it to you like this, okay? Here's my argument for EVs or against EVs. With everything that I've argued for EVs, power, convenience, and a lot of other things, but they're only convenient to a certain bracket of people when it comes to income. What does that mean? Okay, well, EVs are great if you own a house where you can afford the charger and the installation of the charger to where you can charge the car at home. But it's a big but. how do I say this? If you are of any age, 18 to 108, and you live in an apartment or a condo or something like that where you just don't have super easy access to a good charging station, you're screwed. You can't own an EV. It doesn't work in your world. Okay, first of all, you may not even be able to afford the dang thing, and on top of that, it's going to be extremely inconvenient to fill her up. I mean, what are you going to do? Run an extension cord out to the car? It doesn't work like that. And so, and not to mention, it's a great way to have your extension cord ripped off or cut or just flat out unplugged by some miscreant, right? So there's that to consider. I mean, I'm looking out for the folks that just simply can't afford it, but can't afford it from a lot of different perspectives. Let's say you can afford the car, but where you live is not conducive to charging the thing. You know what I mean? Not to mention there's one kind of spooky, kind of scary thing about them. They've got a nasty little habit of catching on fire. You guys notice that? Like, it's not like widespread. I mean, we're talking one out of what, 20, 100,000, whatever. But these batteries, when they go off, you don't just squirt them with water and make the fire go away. It doesn't work like that. It's a completely different protocol to put out an EV fire because, I don't know, a third of the vehicle's weight is a really twitchy element called lithium. And you hit that with water and it reacts exothermically and vigorously exothermically. So that's a bit of a problem. In fact, if they do smoke on a road course, for example, like if you take one to the track and you're playing around with on a road course, if they go off, you're instructed to drive the thing out in the middle of a field, get out of it, obviously, but they will not try to put that fire out. They will let that car literally burn itself into the ground. They're not going to hit it with water because, again, reference twitchy, exothermically, vigorously reactive lithium that's in those batteries. So anyway, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. Chuck saying, I hope EVs fail. Yeah, they actually might. Sam saying, maybe an all-wheel drive Hellcat is coming. Funny thing, I had back in 2017, when the Demon first got announced, I was willing to bet the house that it was going to be all-wheel drive. I mean, 100% willing to say this thing is all-wheel drive, no question about it. Obviously, it wasn't, but it'd be kind of cool. Hang on. This blew past everybody. Let's see. Oh, Damien's talking about gutting one of the cars, probably. J392 saying, I want the 426 to be street legal. If I don't see an ice age in the next century, I'm calling bullshit. So here's the thing. Yeah, there was a lot of folks that were screaming for a 426 out of Mopar. And the problem has been, I mean, they were having a hard time getting the 392 to pass emissions. Chuck saying local dealerships are all back ordering EVs of all sorts, VWs, et cetera. It takes 6 months to get one even after ordering. Yeah, it's just a lot of headaches. Damien saying go vote if you want EVs to fail. To be honest, that's our last hope for the future change. Vote, guys. That's the thing. You got to be voting. You have to vote. Vote like your life depends on it because it does. Chuck saying waiting list for toaster ovens. Yep, guys, you got to be voting, man. Seriously. And I mean vote for everything. It doesn't matter if it's school board. Get out there and vote. It's your job. Technically, it's your civil duty. So get out there and do it. Non-X is saying, B-Mason, how do I find what belt size for a 6'1 Pro Charged Hemi? I can't see any numbers on my current belt. Pro Charger will be able to tell you what size belt comes in that kit. In fact, you may be able to go on Pro Charger's website, and they may have the part numbers on there for that kit. If not, hit them up on Monday. They should be able to walk you through it. Oh, Sam's hanging out with Jay. Frederick's saying, what's cooking, B? Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Frederick. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Red Dogs, man. Okay, dude after my own heart saying, B, got to say I'm digging the 400Z 390 to 60. It don't suck. Listen, I know that it looks like it's not a finished product. I get that. I know that it is 100% just a rebody on a 370 or a repower in a 370 with different skin. I understand that too. But that ain't a bad place to be. And I'll tell you something else. I know that they're a little bit pricey, and I know people are going to immediately start comparing it to the Mustang. But here's the thing. That little car is fast as hell, and it's going to be very well balanced in a world where these cars are becoming less and less balanced as a driving experience. That car is going to do really well. Guys, you guys know that I used to have a 350Z, and I loved it. When I lived in NorCal, one of my favorite things to do was to take my 350 and go rail that thing through the mountains. I would point that thing south on PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, and just roll that thing until I burned half a tank of gas, fill her up, and roll back up north, man. That was some of the most fun that I ever had, was taking that thing out in the middle of nowhere, because you could flat foot it. You could burn that thing through corners, and it didn't ever give you the sense that it was going to do anything stupid. So I'm a huge fan of those cars. So when the 370 came out, it's another car that I came really close to picking up. But for me, I was a little bit past the 6-cylinder thing at that point, but they're awesome cars. And I mean, I would love to do another one, or to have another one. If I lived in an area that was fun to drive, I would have that over some of the bigger V8 options, as a matter of fact. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Thanks for saying, you're right, B. Thank you, sir. Arfos saying, what's up, Mopar gang? What's up, Arfos? Big guys checking in with the Red Dog. Arfos saying, dude, kid just babysitting a dead store before I can go home. Everyone's too stuck in their food coming to buy car parts. Understand that. X is saying, us in Alabama run a 100-foot cord anywhere. I know that's right. Oh, Chuck's saying this cup. He knows some folks that know some people that died in an EV. Shot them into a semi. Holy shit. Yeesh, that's spooky. Oh, Arfo's asking about a drain plug. Yes, the Dorman's good. I've got one in this car right there, as a matter of fact. Dorman's rock. So, okay. So there's a story behind that. Y'all are going to love this. Story time with Brian. Here we go. So when I bought my Hellcat, I had actually gotten rid of 2 cars. I got rid of Shalandra that had a brand new transmission put in that thing, and got rid of original Buffy in the process. Basically, I consolidated to get this car, and it just so happened I was in love with it. It was the exact flipping car. This car right here is the exact car I would have ordered if I could have ordered a Hellcat. It is the car that I would have ordered. Color, red seat belts, the interior, everything. So when it came up and I got a smoking deal on it, I jumped on it. Well, the first thing I did, the funny thing is my wife drove it home and it's pouring rain. Okay. So that's always a good luck thing for me. If I drive a car home and it's pouring rain, it's always good luck. And that was the same for Stormy. Well, Little Miss Revlon, AKA Chandelier, it was the same for her. And so I get the car home, and I had already bought this. Oh, by the way, so my wife was sitting in the passenger seat, the sales guy sitting behind me, and I grabbed my computer, open it up, grab my cable, hook it up to the car, and we data logged the car on the test drive. The sales guy didn't have any idea what was going on. He thought it was, I don't know what he was thinking, the poor guy. But anyway, yeah, we actually data logged Revlon on the test drive, if you can believe that. It's pretty funny stuff. Anyway, get the car home, and I had already bought the oil and the filter to do the oil change. Here's the funny thing, though. When I bought my car, the car was dealer serviced, and the guy was just like me. When he bought the car, it had its first oil change at 1,000 miles, and then it had 2 more oil changes after that. And I think I bought the car with like 5,000 miles on it. So it was pretty. The guy was, me and this dude were like that. So the car left him and came to me. Same dude, right? And I can't imagine what the guy paid for this thing. It's an early release 2015. The trunk, I don't think was ever opened in this car in the amount of time the guy had it. And I still have the line sheet. In fact, it's in my office. I still have the line sheet. It was sitting right on top in the trunk. So pretty cool. Anyway, and there's a long paint booger in the back of my trunk that I'll never take off. Anyway, let me get to the point. Okay, so I go to give the car an oil change. It's what I do. First thing I do when I get a vehicle, oil change immediately. Get the car up on the ramps. Get underneath. It's a 1/2-inch socket. And go to take the drain plug out. And it's like somebody put it on with a freaking impact. And I'm like, this is not good. And somewhere I've got pictures of what this thing looked like, because they had actually jacked up the hex part of the drain plug. I'm like, oh shit, this is not a good start, off to a bad start. I had to use a set of channel locks to get that bitch off of the oil pan. Like, it was the only thing that I had in the arsenal that would grab what was left. I'm looking at this thing, what? This doesn't make any sense. So buzzed over to the local O'Reilly's in the process and just got the Dorman replacement oil pan plug. And she's been a rock star ever since then. For the last, coming up on 4. Oh, wait, shoot. What's the date today? Damn. Okay. So I would have this is the 4th year that I've had the car as of literally a week ago today. Oh, cool. Okay. So anyway, kind of thinking about that. Actually, I bought the car, I believe. Yeah, I bought the car on the car's birthday, which is November 19th of 2014. So everybody say happy birthday to Revlon. All right, sweet. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's another fun fact about that car. So she was born 11/19 of 2014, and I've only found one. And I'm sure there's plenty of them out there, but I've only personally run across a car with an earlier build date than mine. And it was in October. I want to say in October 26th, maybe. Anyway, it was a late October build. Is the only other Hellcat that I've ever found that was an earlier run than mine. Let's see. It's a mufflerless straight pipe truck is what it sounds like. Chuck said, the police said the EV malfunctioning killed the driver. Ugh. Yeah, screw all of that. Saying they can be dangerous. The battery gets too hot. Yeah, there's a what'll happen is inside the battery, and I don't have any of the lipos to show you, but inside the battery, if they can start to short, and that will cause that battery. It's a cascade. Once they start going bad, it just woof goes off. Arfos is saying he's got a bit of a history of dormant electronics. So I wasn't sure about their nuts and bolts offerings. Yeah, they're hard parts. Their hardware is usually really good. But yeah, Chuck is 100% right. They're scary. I'll put it to you like that. See, Red Dog's checking in with 45. Let's see. X has got a detailing question. Do you use waterless car washing cleaner during the wintertime? Yes. It sucks washing it in the cold. Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, was just cleaning up Little Miss Chandelier, and I use that product I was showing you guys. It's like it's a heavier duty type of a like a detail spray, and that's what I will use to actually clean the car. It'll be more or less saturated with that spray, and then I just go back and wipe everything down. I usually keep the car fairly clean to begin with. I'll knock off any of the major dirt or grime or anything like that, but I will typically use that to clean it up. And then I was actually running rupees on it earlier with just a Harbor Freight pad, just had music going on in the background. So I was just kind of had Motown going. So I was just, just why somebody, just kind of going around the car, just doing my thing. So, but yeah, I definitely do use it. White Knuckle, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Saying happy holidays, B. Happy holidays, White Knuckle. I appreciate the contribution to the cause. X saying thanks, B. I'll look into that. Yeah, check that out. Like I say, the stuff that I use is I don't know if you call it professional grade. It's just like a wholesale grade, I should say, just thicker version of what a detail spray would be. And I've got the big, like just spray guns, and I'll just hose down the sides of it, and I'll turn a microfiber cloth over quite a bit and just go in straight lines, and just you don't ever want to do that with it. You just go in straight lines, turn the cloth quite a bit. I'll go over to the sink, rinse it out or something. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. So actually, it's what I'll finish everything up with is that spray too. So use it for everything. I use it for lube on the hood before I get it, the hood, the roof, even the sides. Sometimes I'll dust it with that quick detailer, and then put the rupees on the pad, and then use it kind of as almost as like a pre-lube for it, and it works out really well. So X is saying, hell yeah, I love Mother's detail spray. Mother's, believe it or not, is really good stuff. Mother's is really good for clay bar. I know the Mother's clay bar system that comes with the Mother's detail spray works really well for clay bar lube. It's thinner, and so it doesn't, I don't know. It always seems to work really well, that the viscosity of it. Chuck saying he got into chemical guys this year. So the only thing I will say this, Chemical Guys has some good products. One of the things that I did not like that Chemical Guys sold was their compounds, the X31, X32s. I didn't like their compound because it has no staying time. It would dust up, and it just made a mess. Whereas I could use Mother's compound with, say, an orange pad and get all the results out of that system that I needed if I was really trying to cut paint, like oxidation. I could get away with that system much easier than anything from Chemical Guys. Now, what I will say is the lighter products that they have. Their polishes and their sealants are really good to work with. But since I made the switch over to rupees, damn, that stuff's hard to beat because it is so slick that it almost doesn't matter what pad you use with their polish and with their sealers. It just works so well. And then Griot's, the all-in-one, is one that I really like a lot, just in terms of being a general purpose, lay down, mild cutting type of a product. You just want to even out the surface of something without really tearing it up too much. That product does really well there too. X is saying he uses the chemical guys for interior work. I do too. In fact, where is it? Signature scent, by the way, which used to be stripper scent, is what goes in everything. But yeah, it's really good stuff. Let me check back up here real quick with you guys. Let's see. Chuck's asking, hey, are Arturos good for street driving with my Challenger or hand cook? I like hand cook, prefer a Turo. AZ850 is on the front. It's my street setup. And I use AZ850s exclusively on the fronts of my cars. If I ran a Turo AZ850s on my SRT as well. Awesome tire. I've used them in a bunch of weird. Okay, so I still have my loaner set of rims, at least the rears, that we would put if somebody showed up to a dyno or showed up to the dyno with a drag setup for the Mopars. Somebody just piped it up outside. We would use those rims, and they were Turo AZ850s. I just really like the Turos. They've got really good lateral stability, and man, I would say yes. Get a set of Turos. I would always default to a yes for a Turos until proven otherwise. Chuck's saying, I think everyone should wear their Mopar Chat Live t-shirts during these shows. Yes, I need to get a Teespring for that. X is saying, and Chuck's saying it's 11:26. X is saying, I cringe every time I hear impact wrench on any car part. Yes, me too. Really hate it if I have to bust out my electric impact to get something off of a car. That's when I know that there's a problem. Sam's saying a normal car burns at about 800 degrees. EV burns at about 1500. Both can be put out with water. The EV takes around 50 times the amount of water. That's true. And that's again, I mean, they're even working on different ways. Fire departments are working on different ways to be able to put those fires out and how to contain them. But a lot of time they burn that hot. When they burn that hot, they burn fast, and they pretty much cook themselves really quickly. Chuck saying, happy birthday, Revlon. Yes, happy birthday to her. Wow, that's crazy. 8 years old. Sam saying a firefighter can't just cut on an EV or a hybrid. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah. And again, thank you, White Knuckle. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're just talking about the detail stuff. Yeah, then for the interior work, yeah, chemical guys, it's all good stuff. Everybody has a like a preferred. I don't have a preferred brand, but I have different brands. I have preferred products within those brands. X is saying stripper scent. Yeah, if you remember chemical guys stripper scent, it's what they call signature scent now, and it's really good. Chuck saying banana wax works good. Red Dog saying, I really like the slick product shine for vinyl and plastics. Very cool. Ryan's asking, how do you buy a Mopar Chat Live shirt? Actually, you don't. I typically give them away. I need to get some more made, as a matter of fact. But I have given them all away that I have access to. Kind of a limited run. There's 3 different designs. There's this one, which actually was this is a design that the color was supposed to be orange, and it really isn't orange in real life. This is like lipstick red. There's the old school one, which I can't get that font anymore, that you'll see me wear. It's kind of a funky looking font. And then just the Mopar Chat Live, which is the one that I'll probably re-up here soon. But we'll see. Like I say, get through the holidays and start next year, probably order some more t-shirts. And then I will let you know. Oh, Chuck saying my 5'7" shaker brought me on this channel years ago, but this past summer the 392 seduced me. Yep, I think B bought Stormy a week later. I believe I did. Ryan saying I need one. Yeah, I know. I got to get some made. Chuck saying B sent me some awesome teas. Yes, sir, I did. X is asking how's Stormy doing. Well, Stormy's doing great. So Stormy just ripped a 1366 the other night or day, whenever it was. But has backed up a ton of 1370s. The truck's strong. And interestingly enough, the hardest part about getting the thing to launch is just trying to keep it from blowing the tires off. That's been the toughest part. So she's a flipping ripper, bro. There's quite a few on the channel. If you go in, I mean, they're just under content, really, and you'll just see run after run after run after run of Stormy draggy hits. And so I got to tell you, the funny thing about Stormy is that Stormy's one of the few vehicles that I've ever owned that I have really started to grow attached to, that I had absolutely no intention of even liking that truck. And one of the weird things is that it was bought specifically to replace Buffy. And, you know, I figured, okay, well, it'll be cool. In the meantime, you know, it's a e-torque truck, and, you know, which doesn't do anything for performance, really, by the way. If you thought that it did, I can assure you it does not. But I was, anyway, it was just one of those things. I was buying a truck to replace my work truck. And it just so happened it worked out where, you know, I drove the truck. I was like, man, there's something different about this thing. And kind of a cool story behind how I actually found that truck. It was the exact truck that I had built online. So, kind of neat, you know, it was just weird. It was kismet, really. It showed up because I saw a truck at this dealership that looked like the one that I built online. So I just never saw one in person. Well, just so happens they had one in the back that was literally still like off of the truck. It was still in make ready mode, as a matter of fact. And I have put every mile that is on Stormy, I have put on that truck. So it's not only my truck. I mean, I've literally put every mile that is on that truck. So kind of cool. But let's see. Next is going, oh shit. Yeah, truck is quick. Red Dog saying, go Stormy. That thing got a Hemi? Yes, it does. X saying it's awesome to see you running the truck on the channel. I love, like I say, it's a 321 geared 2-wheel drive quad cab truck. I mean, it's really a cool truck too. It doesn't have the big screen, but it's got the 8-inch. It's got the split bin. It doesn't have the buckets. It's got the split, which I prefer over the buckets. I just really like the freaking truck. Again, it's one of those cars. I just was like, it's a freaking truck, man. It is what it is. I ended up really kind of falling in love with this thing. Chuck's asking, hey, B, what's Stormy's power plant? Stormy is a 5.7 e-torque. I almost said EcoBoost. 5.7 e-torque, 321 gear, HP 75 is the transmission. It's a little bit of an upgrade from the HP 70. It's just how they come now. A little bit more aggressive gear ratios. It's I mean, it's just such a neat, just a fun ass truck. Okay, so I'm working with HP tuners right now to try to get some things worked out with the operating system with these latest trucks. You can do some things with some of the earlier trucks that you can't do with the later trucks. And so we're working on, there's just a bunch of goofy little things in, okay, so when you're in normal mode, like not in tow haul, the truck will default to neutral when you come to a stop sign. And that's great if you want to have a really low idle for idle fuel consumption. The problem with that is you take your foot off the brake and it then has to shift into gear. And by the time you can be off the brake and on the gas in less than the amount of time that it goes through that shift. So it's kind of a weird delay. But if you put it in tow haul mode, the delay goes completely away. So we're trying to figure out how to make it to where I can put it in tow haul mode and just make adjustments to the tow haul protocol, the tow haul tune, so that I don't have the weird thing that just goes into tow haul from the factory. You're still having problems getting that part of it sorted out. The start stop thing has been already defeated, so that's a done deal. But yeah, lots of fun stuff with Stormy. Kurt saying, just saw my first 392 red sparkle color in the parking lot. Yes, that is a fun thing. So funny you should say that. I don't see my car in the sun very often. My car didn't really see sunlight very often. But on a really pretty clear day, like at noon, right? Like in the middle of the day, the car just is rarely outside. And, at that track rental, it was like, super clear, super pretty day. And I'm just going, wow, that thing really pops. It's really kind of neat. But yeah, it's pretty color. X is saying trucks are cool. Modern day trucks can literally do anything. Haul crap, burn the tires off, and run decent quarter mile. Oh yeah, for sure. The new trucks are pretty sweet. And one of the goals I had for Stormy was, you know what, guys, this is something that pissed me off about when I was truck shopping personally. Okay. And I do fly the Mopar flag pretty high, but I got a Ford background and don't have anything against Chevrolets either. So when I was looking at trucks, one of the things that pissed me was that I couldn't option a 5-liter with 373 gears in a 2-wheel drive truck. I thought that was absolutely stupid because that's what I wanted. I wanted 373 gears with a 5.0. I also wasn't able to order, but I could get 355s with the EcoBoost, which I thought was obnoxious. And to get 373s, you have to order this weird truck, which I did drive, by the way, arguably the quickest version of the Ford truck stock. I was able to drive one. It's a 373 gear, 2-wheel drive, heavy haul package, I think is what they call it, or something like that. Anyway, one of the things that pissed me off, though, was the Chevrolet. And the Chevy is really one of the reasons why I started taking tuning of Stormy a little bit more seriously I'll put it to you like this. I couldn't option the Chevy that I wanted with the 6.2. And it was you had to like up badge like crazy to get to the 6.2. And that's stupid. To me, that's bullshit. I should be able to get, if the engine's optioned, I should be able to option it in whatever truck I want, right? And the 6.2 is like a 13.8 truck at like 101 miles an hour. And I guess I don't know, one of the EcoBoosts would probably cover that same number. The truck that I drove might have covered that number as well, which is weird. By the way, the EcoBoost trucks are stormers out of the hole. And then as you're accelerating, it's not as, anyway. I wanted my 5.7, which is available in whatever truck you want. You want a tradesman, you want all of them. There's not another engine option, though, unless we're talking the TRX. That doesn't count. They don't offer the 6.4. If they did, I would have bought it. But they only offer the 5.7. I thought, this is kind of shitty. I want my 5.7 to run like a 6.2. Period. That's all there is to it. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to do it with a smaller engine, and we'll just go at it from there. And that was the goal, and we were able to do that with Stormy. So, but yeah, it's good stuff. XSX is going. Is that Coke Zero? Yes, it is. It is Coke Zero. Coke Zero and Powerade over here. Just saw that pop up. Let's see. Chuck's asking, do you run 93 in Stormy? I run either 93 or 89 in Stormy. Jeremy's asking, what's up, B? So I went to the Turkey Rod Run, almost every damn car, modded Mustang, old school hot rod, even old Mopars, all LS swap. So I'm going to put a Hemi in the IROC. Nice. There you go. If anybody wants a RS Camaro, let me know. My wife wants to sell that thing. X is saying, oh, I got that one. Chuck's saying, I drink too much Diet Coke. He's saying, I hear you, Chuck. Clay's in saying, hey, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Started to drop in this evening. Well, cool to have you, Clay. Thank you. When I get in rib cracker, I need to lay off the caffeine. Clay's asking, what do you think about GMC trucks and what GMC has? Well, I own a 1972 GMC, so love them. I tell you what, the only problem that I have with any of the GM products is that the 5.3 is underpowered. It really is underpowered. And I got to say, I would like to see them, and I understand it's an emissions thing. I get it. But, can we bump it up to 5.7 at least, GM? Anyway, I know that they were having issues with the 5.3 and emissions at one point. It's one of the reasons why it's so neutered. But it was the GM products were, it was the truck that I actually, if it wasn't going to be the Ram, it was going to be one of the Chevrolets, especially when Ford kind of, the dealership experience with both were really bad. Anyway, the idea was I really liked the GM truck. The 5.3 was just lackluster with me. And Behemoth, a buddy of mine, he was explaining to me why that was. He's in the know when it comes to that kind of stuff. And it's like, man, it just sucks. Yeah. No good. But love the trucks, though. They're dependable, if nothing else. Oh, X is saying, yeah, it doesn't make any sense why somebody's purchasing a vehicle from a dealership. They don't allow you. It's weird is that the guys at the Ford dealership, it was just, this is the more embarrassing part. I was saying, look, I will pay to have 373 gears put in the truck, but I want that to be part of the deal. I want that thrown in somehow. You're already not taking any money off of the truck. I want the 5-liter, but I want 373s. You've got a service department. You've got mechanics back there. They know how to do this. Just do it before I take delivery of the truck. And the guy was just oh my God, the poor dude behind not only did he not even understand what I was talking about, it was just a real awkward. So I felt bad for the guy. I wasn't mad at all. Believe me when I tell you that I felt pity for the guy more than anything else. Chuck, look down. I'm going 130. That's what these new cars will do to you. Clay say, if you're going to get a Chevrolet GMC HD truck, oh, we're talking an HD, then yeah, why wouldn't you just get the Duramax? Well, it depends on what your needs are. I mean, the Duramax upcharge, I believe, is pretty significant. So, I mean, yeah, I get it. You're spending money, cry now or cry later, but I mean, I don't know. You're getting an HD, isn't the 6.2 available in that? A lot of guys prefer gas just because it's less expensive, number one, and two, cheaper to maintain. But completely depends on what you're doing with the truck. Chuck's asking, don't Power Wagons come with a 6.4? They do, but yes, they are 3/4 ton. Theramis is asking, Joe Biden, question mark? Like, does he exist? Or I don't understand the question. Oh, Clay saying, but if I was going to get a truck, I'd get a classic like an 89 Dodge Power Ram with the 12 valve Cummins. Yeah, I mean, if you can find one, they're good to find. Just make sure you've got it in the budget to replace that turbo. Ryan's asking thoughts on the Taco with a V6 with the Maggie. A lot of guys used to do that. That was a TRD upgrade. And they run great, run really good. Let's see. Bear with me just 1 second. Hang on just a second here, guys. All right, back to it. Let's see. Clay saying even the square body GM trucks are much better than much of the newer ones. You know what's funny? Here's the weird thing about, okay, so if you get a square body, you are kind of relegated to 86 and 87 for the 700 R4, or you almost have to do a 700 R4 swap. I'm not going to do a 700 R4 swap on my GMC. I'm just going to re-gear it, put a set of 354 gears. And I think it's got 410s or 430s in it right now. It makes first gear all but unusable. And, but for the smaller trucks, you really do need to have the 4-speed automatic. They're a lot of fun. They're neat to drive, but they don't ride like the newer trucks. But I will say, I am very partial to the boxy stuff. Let's see. Oh. The other thing about the boxy trucks is, and I do not understand this for the life of me, is the prices that some of these guys are asking for. I mean, there's a Disco Elko and a long bed root beer float truck that I would love to have in the fleet. But the prices that this dude is asking for these cars is like, there's not even a place to start negotiating. Like, if you start out so high because you're being cheeky and you think you've got some, the guy's a freaking douche hammer too. Anyway, the asking costs in the bullshit in the games, I wanted to slap this dude seriously. Anyway, it was just, but the pricing, they're at it anyway. I'll get away from that. I was just so pissed. Because I kind of wanted that root beer float truck. That would have been sweet. Long bed, dropped, fats in the back, small blower on a 350. That'd have been a lot of fun. Let's see. Get back to you guys. Oh, Red Dog saying, I got a Diablo, but my tuner guy has gone missing. He did a great job, but adding headers, can't find him. Is there any training for using HP tuners? Would like to start doing it myself. There's some stuff online. There's not a lot. If you're throwing headers on, I mean, really all you got to do is adjust the transfer or transport, and that's about it. But HP, I like HP. I've never messed with Diablo. I only speak HP tuners, and I can tell you that each one has its pros and cons. I do know that. No average RT saying no political stuff in here. Yeah, no, that stuff gets squashed real fast on this channel. I do not do politics. No, we do not do politics at all on this. I do not do, so I'll put it like this. I do not and will not do anything that will cause any reason for separation from my people. Like I don't do that ever. I'm doing stuff to bring us together, not to try to divide us. And I hate the idea of politics coming in the way of a good time or a good relationship. Clay saying he found the other day a 78 C10 Scottsdale equipped with an Oldsmobile 57350. Interesting. V8 diesel engine with a 403 speed. That's kind of a funny combination. So there was a dude. Oh, and I should have put an offer on this thing. It's so dumb of me not to. Had a clean ass Blazer with a 6.2 diesel. And I should have figured out a way to get that thing. Slow's asking, question about the 392 benefiting from MS-109 at the track. Untuned. Yes, it can. The reason why it can is because MS-109 is slightly oxygenated. But the 392 tunes are a little bit hot anyway. So yeah, it can definitely help you a little bit of surely keep it from getting into short-term knock retard. But don't go 100% MS-109. I would say do a 20% blend. So 1 gallon for every 5 full gallons of fuel going in. So if you have 4 parts of gasoline, 1 part of MS-109 is really all you'll need. That'll bring your octane up to, I believe, 96, give or take. But plus MS-109, if I remember correctly, is a higher ethanol content. So you're not in any danger of running up against injector duty cycle with it, but you just don't need any more than that in the tank. Captain Boo saying, how's it going tonight, Beat? Going good, Cap. The 6.1 stored away for the winter and converting my other Challenger to 15-inch wheels. I was able to use brakes off a Chevy Malibu. They nearly bolt right on. Very cool. Had to drill and tap 1 hole, but I'm really happy with it and saved a couple of bucks over the Willwood. Very cool. I like it. Good job. I got the flex. Chuck saying, smash that like button. Yes. Chuck saying, Sovereign usually says that. He's saying, yes, he does. But for real, it does help, guys. Thank you. Chuck saying, it sucks he had a bad experience with Ford. They make badass trucks. I drove an F-250 V10 for years. 6.8 liter, awesome engine. That's actually the engine that powered my move home in the U-Haul. Actually, I like Ford. I mean, it was just a bad dealership experience. And to be honest with you, it was bad timing, and it was just a bad brand decision on their part, mainly because they just weren't working with guys. You had Dodge that was basically trying to find money to throw my direction, and Ford not wanting to give any discounts at all. So kind of is what it is. Slow saying, thanks for answering that. Absolutely. Got the high five. Clay saying, mentioning Ford, have a friend of mine that owns a 75 F-250 with a 460 and a 5-speed manual. Very cool truck. 2-wheel drive. It's the custom trim level. Very cool truck. I like that. Like the mid 70s stuff is really cool. Red Dog, thank you very much. Thanks for the knowledge as always, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for the contribution. Yeah. So I've always liked, I've always been a little bit weird. I'm more of a 3/4 ton truck guy, and I don't know why. It's like, why am I a B body guy as opposed to like a Challenger or a Cuda from back in the day? Or why am I a Chevelle guy and not a Camaro guy? I don't know. I guess I like them big. I'm going to tell you, but I always did like the 3/4 ton stuff. Anyway, so yeah, the old school, F-250s with a big block were always kind of neat, right up my alley. But I love the other stuff too. I don't know. I just kind of, I don't know. I like all of them, honestly. Ryan saying at 94 1500 with the V10 Magnum with glass packs. Very nice. That'd have been a fun truck. Oh, Red Dog's checking out. Red Dog, have a good one, buddy. Thanks again for checking in and for the contribution. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, just update. Okay. So I forgot updates on stuff. So Stormy's not going to get exhaust probably for a while. By the way, if it does, it'll end up getting long tubes. I'll just give Matt over at Moe's a shout and say, hey, which ones do you want to send? I also need to figure out if the 6.4 manifold will work. I think that Stormy may end up getting a 6.4 manifold at some point. But that's about the extent of anything I'm really going to do to the truck, just manifold and headers. It's already got the cat back on it. That Borla S-Type sounds so good. And then, we can get into Revlon here in a minute. Let me check back in with you guys. Chuck saying they have a newer F450 at my dealership. Dually 1 ton. Nice. So Clay's asking, what's my overall opinion of the Chevy C60 medium duty trucks? 500 cube Detroit diesel. Don't have any opinion of them at all because I've never had to work with them or work around them. But anything with a Detroit diesel is going to sound really good. So at least there's that going for it. Slow Crawler saying car's been 1190 at 114, taking it back tomorrow to see how it does on MS109. Stock Charger, seats out, 17-inch radial. Hope to go quicker. Been digging into your content. Man, it's great. Saying you from Houston? Yep, sure am. And yeah, it'll run good, no doubt about it. Slow Crawler, sorry. Yeah, it'll pick up, at least if nothing else, it'll help with consistency. Depending on where you're getting fuel, but yeah, that was the mix that I would run with my car if I had run into really low density altitude. Chuck saying you should get gains with that setup. Yep, I agree. Jeremy's asking, does Stormy have an active valve on the intake already? Yes. So the 5.7 truck engines comes with the active intake manifold. So it's the short runner, long runner setup that the cars do not have. Although the fixed intake that the cars have is actually really good. Very much mimics the 6.1 manifold in terms of flow. Just saying, it's funny to me when I'm cruising down the road and a Mustang Challenger or Charger wants to run. Get it all the time. Clay's liking the Ram 5500, the big stuff. Yeah, I don't ever mess with any of that. I know that the guys that like the real heavy duty stuff tend to lean towards Mopar. So as far as updates for as far and you can get the HO version of the Cummins in those bigger trucks too. Chuck saying that F450 looks like a torque beast. They are. Jeremy's asking, what's the difference between the 6.4 car and truck? The heads are different. The camshaft is significantly different. The intake is way better on the truck, believe it or not. Exhaust is different. The truck 6.4 is kind of an interesting contraption. It is not that much more powerful than the 5.7. The big difference, though, is that it makes a lot more power down low. And it is going to be able to make that power basically with your foot to the floor all the time. It's just a more heavy duty in general engine than the 5.7. But in terms of comparing it to the car, it's the block is a little bit different. It's a little bit heavier duty block. Not that there's anything wrong with the car block. It's just it's a detail more than anything else. Guys make a bunch of power with that block, so don't take it as one can handle more power than the other. It's not like that. It's more of an NVH thing, I think, for the truck. But there's quite a few differences. But you can build a hot rod out of that truck block. It's just you do the same stuff you do to a normal regular 6.4 Hemi, the 392. Nuclear Shark saying, hey, what are the differences between 2014 392 and the upgraded horsepower rating 2015 392 from 470 to 485 horse? There's a little bit in the calibration itself. There's some fueling differences, some camshaft adjustments. The big difference, though, I think, is the fact that one has electric power steering and the other doesn't. Although I will say this, I think the calibration change has more to do with the actual performance, because there's always like a solid, like legit, even on to the rear wheels. And normally you don't see the number to the rear wheels, but there's about a 15 to 20 horsepower difference between the two to the rear wheels between the power steering pump cars and the non-power steering pump. And when we say that, we're just talking about the actual hydraulic power steering pump cars. Although I've never driven one and noticed any difference with how they run, but those are the differences. I noticed the calibration changes were the ones that I was always like, that was kind of weird. X is asking, is there a reason why there is such a difference between the truck and the car versions? Talking about the 6.4. Yeah, the main difference is just the truck has to be able to deal with a lot of high load, low speed conditions where the car doesn't have to deal with that. So the truck's going to go basically the direction of having to deal with more abuse than the car will from like a towing, guys just beating on them. That's what the 6.4 is going to have to put up with. It's got to handle a lot more load than that car does. Let's see. Cap's asking, looking to get a 5.7 for the other Challenger. I would like an Eagle, but how does the pre-Eagle compare with the Eagle heads? They don't. The Eagle heads are far and away better. It wouldn't have VVT, but I would cam it anyways. I'll tell you what, if you want to keep it simple, don't put Eagle heads on it. Just get a set of ported 5.7 heads. They're not bad. In fact, some will argue, okay, they're already 500 horsepower capable heads on the car. To say that they're not as good, this is another funny thing. To say that those heads aren't as good as a set of Eagle heads is... Nothing is as good as a set of Eagle heads. The heads that you have, though, flow 250, 255, somewhere in that range, if I'm not mistaken. A ported set of those heads with good valve seats in a healthy cam will actually the car is going to run really good. It'll potentially be better up to about 5,000 RPM than the Eagle heads, and then the Eagle heads would just walk away. If it were my car, I wouldn't even bother with trying to convert it to Eagle. I would just go straight up ported old school heads because I know what they're going to flow. Put a cam in it that's like a 224, 230 cam on a 113, intake center line at about 108, and get out there and have a ball with that thing. That's what I would do personally. Because I know that combination would make good power and would just be a lot of fun to drive. That would be the direction I would go with it. Cat Boo's asking, do I think it'd be worth saving a few bucks to go with the pre-Eagle bottom end? Sure. Yeah. I mean, for what you're going to be doing with it, I think you'd be just fine. Clay's talking about Dodge making. Oh yeah, everybody made. So that is a what's it called? A large Class C chassis. A lot of guys did that. They made them for school buses, box trucks, you name it. It's just a universal commercial chassis. Kind of cool stuff. X saying that makes sense. Thanks, Pete. You bet. Chuck's asking, he wonders if the throttle mapping is different on the 21 scat versus older versions. No, the throttle mapping isn't necessarily any different. The cam phasing is different though. There's a few things with the 18 and up cars are consistently about a tenth to a tenth and a half quicker in the quarter mile, even though they're rated the same. There are some differences. So stuff that I've been doing, like, okay, so a real quick update, getting this girl right behind me, getting her ready for boost weather. December, January, February down here can be really fun. Obviously it's boost weather, right? It cools off, and down here at sea level we get some real deep density altitudes. But the twist is that we also couple that with high relative humidity. Even though the actual humidity might not be as high, the relative humidity is real high. As a matter of fact, the last track rental, Little Miss Chandelier went her fastest time in the worst DA all day. And what she was doing, she was chasing a falling humidity number. Even though the DA went from negative 1,200 to 200, we varied 1,000 feet, actually over 1,000 feet in DA across the course of the day. It was at like negative 200 where she ran that 1013. And it run a 1015 right before that. So I'm sitting right on top of, my old personal best, which was the record until Jim snatched that away from me. But coming after you, bro. Anyway, we've got to have lower humidity. And so coming into December and January, actually tail end of December, beginning of January is where the air really starts to dry out. And so we'll have January, part of February, and sometimes into March where we have just really awesome weather and we can really take advantage of the lower humidity and cover some decent numbers. But I was really happy to see the car run the 1013 in 47%, 48%, 47% humidity at what is in essence almost flat DA. I mean, for that car to cover that number in that condition, it's never been that quick before. So real excited about that. And we'll see what ends up happening as the year progresses. But we've got I think there's a rental coming up in December. Anyway, sometime in December, I think there's another one coming up. If the weather's really good, I'll run out there with that. Just change the oil. And that's really it. I mean, just keeping the car maintained. In fact, I'll be doing some work on my wife's Camaro, getting it ready to sell here pretty soon. Be doing that tomorrow, but I've been putting most of the time into getting this thing ready for January. But it's really just in case we end up getting some sick weather in December. I want to make sure the car is ready to go for that. But let's see. Let's see. Nuclear Shark's asking, B, for my car, would you consider a slightly bigger cam in the 392 Scat manual over the stock cam? Yes and no. I mean, I designed put cams together for God. I've been doing cam stuff for these later Gen 3 Hemis for a long time. Damn. I mean, it depends. Look, I'll put it to you like this. If you stay with a small cam, the problem is you don't pick up a ton of power, but the car is going to act like it just has a bigger engine in general. One of my smallest cams is probably one of the best cams for a 392. The problem is it doesn't have a lope. I mean, it just doesn't work like that with that particular cam. But I mean, it's a solid 30 horsepower across the board and doesn't sound like a lot, but it makes power literally off idle all the way through the power band. So there's that. That cam has gone as quick in a 4,600 pound car as 1130s, 1120s. I mean, that's crazy for the weight of the car that it's in. Plus, it plays really nice with a stock converter. If that gives you any idea as far as idle quality and things like that, you don't have that to worry about. It's a manual car. But I guess the question is it worth the money? And I gotta tell you, man, that's real subjective. If you want to make more power up top and you want the sound, then the cam is worth it. But is it going to be worth it long term? I don't know, man. If you're not, I'll put it to like this. If you're not trying to cover a number and you're not out roll racing the car, stay with the stock cam. And I'll just leave it at that. Oh, Chuck's checking out, saying thanks for info, B. Night all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you, Chuck. Have a good one, buddy. Clay saying, your honest opinion about the pre-Hellcat era Dodge Charger and Challenger versus now. So you're talking about the NAG 1 cars primarily, the 5-speed automatic cars. Okay, so that's the car that actually brought me back into Mopar. Had a conversation about this not that long ago. And I'm torn on the older cars. I like the 5-speed automatic. I like the NAG 1. It's more of a traditional muscle car to me. I like the interiors a bit more basic, more taxi cab-ish. You can't really call it analog, but it kind of is in a way. I like that about those cars. But from a performance point of view, they're not going to hang with an 8-speed car. Stock for stock, it's not even close. So if we're talking from a performance point of view, not a huge fan, because the 8-speed cars now are so readily available. But I mean, if you're just buying the thing as a cruiser, you can pick them up significantly cheaper, make them sound good with all the right parts, throw a tune on them, and have something that's just a lot of fun to drive. The problem with the NAG 1 cars, and again, please reference that that's the car that I kind of fell in love with that brought me back into Mopar. But the problem with the NAG 1 cars is that they're awesome as long as you don't compare them to the 8-speed cars. They are the last of the what I would call a traditional American muscle car in that they don't have variable anything to mess with. Well, the later ones do. I mean, there is like the 392 NAG 1 cars, and there are some variable cam variants, but you kind of understand what I'm getting at. Like them a lot, but again, from a performance standpoint, they're just not going to be able to mess with the 8-speed stuff. But if you find a clean one, don't pass it up just because it's a nag one. If you find one that's been really well maintained and taken care of, and again, it's not a race car, it's a cruiser, and you're just wanting to have something that sounds good, you can light the tires up whenever you want, that's the car for you. Non-X saying, I just got my car back after installing new gauges, and now I see I'm only getting 4 pounds of boost. I expected at least 8 pounds. We're going to put a new belt to see if that helps. Check for boost leaks. Check for boost leaks. They happen to happen a lot. Smoke test it before you put the belt on it. Clay's in saying, I know several streams ago you were going off on Dodge about their offerings for 2023 model year and talking about that Dodge Charger SRT Banshee. Yes, I was. Kind of lost my mind, I think, in part of that one. But I mean, the fact is that there's not there's not a consistency with the marketing versus where they're at with the Banshee. They're not hyping up the Banshee. I'm not feeling the love for the Banshee from Dodge. And that's a problem for me. I want to see them driving that narrative. And if there's going to be another internal combustion variant, put that thing out there, man. Give us something to work with, because Dodge is at this stage of the game so far behind the Ford and the Chevrolet offerings for EV or any hybrid offering at all. It's just, they got to get on it, man. Chop suey, got people waiting on this. And there's a lot of folks that are already kind of doing the trains leaving the station. They're already heading over to Ford, guys. They got to start doing something quick. X is saying, take care, Chuck. Chuck's saying, keep it on the road, pin it to the firewall. Hell yes. X saying, I love my 5.7 catback performance paid. Yeah, 275, 40, 20 in the rear, which is the best way to go. Smile for miles. Heck yeah. Yeah, y'all know I'm a big 5.7 guy too. So, I mean, you'll never hear me talk bad about the 5.7. Jeremy saying, B, buy the wife a ZL1, then you can have a new toy to play with. She wouldn't want it. If I were to get her anything, it would be a disco era El Camino. That's actually what both of us want. So, Dodge's marketing is dog shit. Yeah. Well, the problem is that it's just inconsistent. I mean, if you're going to be driving an EV narrative, drive the EV narrative. Put it out there. Clay saying, can you say Dodge Rampage? Yeah, the thing is that look, y'all know where I'm coming from with that. I mean, there are some cars that if I was pulling strings over at Dodge, I would be putting into motion. I would be putting, and I'm going to do a video at some point with this just to kind of wrap up a lot of my thoughts, but y'all already know what I'd be doing first, foremost, right out the gate, no questions. It would be, I would bring back the Starion name. I would bring back the Conquest name. I would have that 6-cylinder in that thing for both the 400 and the 500 horse variants, and pair it up with the 8-speed automatic, or maybe a manual transmission if you can get away with it. That would be stupid sick. You know, target a curb weight, a wet curb weight of 3,700 pounds. I mean, dude, oh my God, how stupid sick that car would be. That would be number one. Number two, figure out a way to make it a hybrid, and figure out a way to make small EVs work for city cars and small hybrids to work. for city cars. I would put that 6-cylinder in the truck as an optional engine, keep the Hemi, and if the LX platform has to croak, then that's where I would be going with this. And holy shit, I would be harassing every Mustang that is running the streets. I mean, it would be disgusting what I would be trying to do with that car. And I mean, I would have throwback rims. It would be basically a Starion for today, a rebought, like a modern interpretation of the Starion, which would be sick. Oh my God, that car would be disgusting. God, could you imagine 650 horsepower, 700 horsepower in a car that weighs 3,800 pounds? Be stupid. Cap's asking about the AR5, the MA5 Trans. I don't know enough about it. I know that we had run supercharged variants of stuff through Jeep, so it'll hold. All the Jeeps that we did that were repowers all had HP transmissions in them. But I don't know how well it would hold up. Actually saying, yeah, super inconsistent. Clay, well, if I was in charge of Dodge, what would I do? I think I just spilled it. I would make cars that were extremely durable, that were extremely affordable for folks. It would be small, inexpensive. Take a page out of Hyundai's book. City type cars. And then from there, I would build again my Starion or Conquest 2. I would have, there would be a lot going on with that. You would not want to integrate Ram back under the Dodge umbrella for cafe standard reasons. You could bring back the Aries name as an EV. That'd be actually a good idea. Jeremy's saying, with Dodge, I feel they are pitching this, but now stalling because their tech is not ready. Almost like they put more time into the speaker. I mean, exhaust. God, no kidding. That is such a weird thing. B5's in, saying, always enjoy your knowledge, my man. Thank you for checking in, B5. Thank you very much. And guys, with that, I just noticed we are coming up. Actually, we're over 2 hours, so I've got to check out on this. Guys, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for hanging out with me. Would not do this without you. Love each and every one of y'all. Guys, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way worse than you know. If you're going to send it, don't bitter. Keep your shiny side up. And with that, that's a wrap. Y'all have a great one. We will catch y'all on the next one. Adios.